when we're talking about climate, you can't just pick and choose one part of the earth and go, oh my God, did you see the ice? There's less ice here, but then you find out there's more ice over here. They never tell you the measurements all around the globe, okay? No one is saying that climate isn't changing. What we are saying is the business model is a monumental grift.
Your entire career, bro, is a monumental grift. And the fact that you tried to sputter off whatever the hell that was as actual climate analysis is incredibly evident to that point. Like, they don't tell you about the whole globe. No. I'm pretty sure 99% of climate scientists, 99.9%, a couple have been paid by fossil fuel industries, have been saying the entire globe is warming. And so it is very fitting that Greg Gutfeld decided to go on that ridiculously stupid tirade this week, because this week the EU's Copernicus Climate Change Service and the World Meteorological Organization has found that this summer was the hottest ever recorded. That's right. WMO report, which includes Copernicus data as well as information from 5 other monitoring organizations around the world, Gutfeld, showed it was the hottest August on record by a large margin, according to the UN agency, both on land and in the global monthly averages for sea surface temperatures. You got land, you got sea, you got air, it's all hotter. But how come the ice, there's more ice over here? Maybe there's ice over there because it broke off from the other ice. You ding dong. So UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres did not mince words at this latest revelation. He said our planet has just endured a season of simmering, the hottest summer on record. Climate breakdown has begun. However, as like scary as that sounds, there's something we can do about it, which is stop. So he did say, we can still avoid the worst of climate chaos, but we don't have a moment to lose. So we need to switch to renewables. We need to keep it in the ground. We need absolutely to rein in the money that we hand to the fossil fuel industry. But there's a lot more. Before I get to you, Adrian, you gotta show, there's a little pushback there on the Fox 5, right? Most of them are quiet. Harold Ford Jr. has something to say. Can Gutfeld get behind this? Take a look.
The climate has changed for the worse over the last 20 years. Can we?
Probably also changed for the better. In fact, if you want to look at,
there's not a place where there's more ice. I will just say that.
No, but let's put it this way: more people die from cold weather than warm weather. So if you're going to just use the ultimate variable, which is lifespan, you would be happy if the planet gets slightly warmer because that makes areas more livable for people. People don't live in frozen areas; they live in warm areas. Sometimes it gets too hot; they got to get out.
Yeah, Adrian, we can always build on the tundra. Just how is this person still taken seriously by? I mean, he doesn't even take himself seriously, but your thoughts?
It's really wild to me, the individuals who are able to collect a significant paycheck off of just promulgating these lies, and they're bald-faced lies. And the thing is when the camera's off, they don't believe them. They just go back to their 7, 8 figure home, and they're perfectly fine. Why so many other people out there actually believe these things, and then they fail to take action. And that's exactly what's gonna happen, where we're all gonna be in some kind of Mad Max Thunderdome, and it's going to be nothing but incredibly nasty, because nobody wants to live the Burning Man experience, not even people who went to Burning Man.
Exactly, and also, he's just wrong. Like, he knows he's wrong. More people die of cold than hot. Like, you're so stupid. When the globe is warming, when there's climate chaos, the sea levels are rising. There are more hurricanes, there are more wildfires, more people will be dying because it is warmer. Even in the cold, that means it's warmer. Because the chaos, do you understand how the extremes? Do you understand the extremes? Do you understand polar opposites? You do it so well every single day, spouting your extremist views. You must understand political extremes, climate extremes. No, of course not. And as Adrian said, he's just not invested in that as a narrative. It's so cynical to me. Like Fox, they all know. They're all sitting there. They're all quiet. because they all know climate change is real. They all know it's man-made, and they're all just hoping that they and their mansions can get to higher ground in time before the masses come knocking at their doors. Well, we won't let them. You will see TBD. No, but let's get into what the masses actually think, because there is new polling out just in the wake of this, the hottest summer on record, that shows people are incredibly concerned about climate change, specifically about having to move from where they live. However, it breaks down when you come to party and political affiliation. Undoubtedly. So this is an Ipsos USA Today poll that found that 23% of those who were polled said they either strongly or somewhat agree with a statement that it will get more difficult to stay in the area where they live. That's huge. That's almost 25% of people who are saying they might have to move. Of the 49% of people who said they had faced extreme weather in the past month, which is again, nearly 50% of people who were polled were like, I've had extreme weather. 76% of them were either somewhat, very, or somewhat concerned about climate change. Among people who didn't experience a recent extreme weather event, only 24% said they were very concerned. Sadly, when it comes to these events, we kind of have memories of gnats, and we're like, so long as hurricane not hitting me currently, I am fine. That's how you get that 24% who are like, I'm only a little bit concerned. But on partisan lines, it is even more interesting. So 28% of Republicans believe climate change is mostly caused by human activity, compared to 82% for Democrats and 56% for independents. Now, it doesn't feel like enough of Republicans, but it is the majority of independents. It is the vast majority of Democrats, and 28% of Republicans, that's not that bad. I feel like 28% of Republicans are also like, Donald Trump is completely innocent, or there's like, there's a corollary there I'm not quite getting, but you know what I'm saying. However, in this study is really important because it doesn't just show that we're screwed because we're never gonna agree. It's blue, it's red, it's whatever. In fact, Matthew Burgess, a professor for the Department of Environmental Studies at the University of Colorado, Boulder, he had this to say about the study and the polling. He said that the divide is most interesting not between Democrats and Republicans collectively, it's between the hard right and everybody else in terms of climate change. He says when you look at the polls, young Republicans, moderate Republicans, and independents are all very concerned about climate change. And that is something that we just 56% of independents. So again, Adrian, we saw at the first Republican presidential debate, not a single candidate was willing to raise their hand to say that climate change was man-made. They all balked at it, they froze, they didn't know how to play it, and yet the majority of Republicans do believe that it is real, that it is man-made, and it should not be a partisan issue. And so we are being, just like everything else in this country, led by a vocal extremist minority. When actually Fox News would have an audience if they just admitted it was real and started talking about solutions.
And the thing is, that they could do that, and also they could spin it such that it would help their base and all the other propaganda that they're pushing. It's wild how we have really look to undermine science. And also I really think that this speaks to the entire movement that's been going on since the 80s in terms of truly ensuring that people stay really dumb. As we saw with Reagan getting rid of the free education that would go with schools. And also of all of the years in which people were moving toward being knowledgeable and informed. And now it's like, let's keep people dumb. Let's keep people following all the propaganda, the mis and disinformation. And let's make sure that they continue to serve capitalism and corporatism as opposed to making good decisions that will keep us all alive well into the future.
I mean, that's really what it is. That's why in some ways Fox News is not wrong. They always say this is how, AOC and the left pushes their Green New Deal agenda. And it's, what is hidden in that statement is that it's an admission that our current economic model of endless growth and endless waste and endless consumption is actually at odds with surviving on this planet. And so what they're telling their audience and what they're telling all of us is that they know that. They know that corporate greed will have to be reined in order for us to survive. The problem is there's still money to be made. You can make money in solar and wind, right? But there is no market incentive yet. And so I hope, and we will see, the Biden administration builds on the Inflation Reduction Act and goes even farther and deeper.